All right, everybody. Greg Harrelson here, Century 21, the Harrelson Group, with Abe Safa, also with Century 21, the Harrelson Group, and just connecting with you. One more additional week of Myrtle Beach Real Estate TV. We want to share with you, the latest news, what we're seeing, that might be affecting the real estate market positively or negatively. And I will say there hasn't been a lot of negative things happening in the real estate market. I guess you would probably agree with that, right, Abe?
100%. And sorry about all the movement. I just realized my laptop's at 15%, so I wanted to plug it in before it dies on me.
Yeah. Before you show us some of those good numbers you're going to show us, Hey, you and I were, just kind of chatting before we, started here, and you had some interesting news. I wanted to start one, also share something. I was talking to an agent in the office, and he was talking to one of the builders, in the area, and they were explaining how some of the ways that they determine whether or not they should increase prices. And so, this would just be one builder that told us this. So this doesn't apply, to everybody. But what they're looking at is they're looking at the supply. And when they, in a 2-week period of time, if they sell all the way, say 10% of the current properties that are on the market, if they sell that many of their inventory, they will actually increase prices. So it all comes down to what we always know is that a lack of supply causes prices to go up. So whenever they're starting to sell out of their inventory, then they just do a bump, whether or not building costs go up or not. They just do a bump because they know the market will bear it. So I just thought I'd share that information if people want to know, how are these builders calculating things, and how are they determine when to raise the price? As soon as they almost sell out of the inventory that they have, they raise the price every time.
Yeah, that's interesting. And it makes sense, right? Supply and demand. So when there's less inventory, they can get more money.
Yep, 100%. Exactly what they're doing. So what were some things that you wanted to share?
So a couple of things, so I was looking at last year's numbers, and overall nationally, there was 5.6 million homes sold nationally, which was a pretty good number, but it was less than what we had expected because of what happened with COVID. So this year they're projecting 6.2 million homes sold. So we're expecting
really?
a decrease nationally. Yeah. So one of the things, and then we're also expecting it in our market as well. You and I talk about it all the time, and trying to determine, will this be the best year ever? Right. So last year in our market, there was 18,000, just over 18,000 transactions in our Association of Realtors. I think this year we're going to break 20,000. I really do. So both of those are record numbers.
Yeah. Do you know what, do you know how many homes we sold last year? I mean, not in Myrtle, not our market, just nationally, roughly. I mean, it wasn't 6 million, right? It was in the 5 million.
Yeah, it was 5.640. 5.6 million. Yeah.
That's a major increase.
Yeah.
Major increase. Because it's very rare. Like it doesn't seem like, I think in my 20 years of being in business, I don't know, but maybe one other time that we ever went into the 6 million. Now, I could be wrong because I don't track it every single time or every single year, but I don't recall it being over 6 million, but one time. So if we hit that this year, that'd be the second time, at least in my tenure as an agent.
Yeah, 6 million is pretty significant. Yeah, I mean, it's usually pretty consistent. It usually hovers in the 5.5 range. Going to 6 million is pretty significant.
Yeah.
And even us last year with 18,000 transactions, that's the most ever.
Yeah.
In our market, right? And then this year we're looking at, we could possibly break 20 if we can get some inventory relief, right? If we get some more homes out there, if we get some builders building, or some people decide to put their homes on the market and capitalize on these great prices, then we could break 20 million.
Yeah.
So you and I are always talking about, okay, how can we better prepare ourselves and better prepare our clients for what's to come, and not just be reactionary, right? So one of the things that I looked at this past week was the Mortgage Bankers Association puts out numbers on a weekly basis of how many purchase applications were submitted. So we're what, 6 weeks into the year so far? Every single week this year, there has been an increase in the number of applications relative to last year. Every single week. So all 6 weeks have been positive. Now, those numbers, those increases range anywhere from 3%. I think the highest week might have been this past week, maybe at 18%. But if you average all of them out, it's just under 13%. So we're seeing a 13% increase in loan applications, which means more people are applying for loans, which kind of feeds right into what we were just talking about, that we think this is going to be a record-breaking year once again for 2021.
Yeah, well, that's fantastic. Yeah, what about the forbearance, and what's the status of that right now?
Yes, so U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development just I think yesterday decided to extend the COVID-19 foreclosure and forbearance moratoriums. So what that means is that they're extending it all the way out until June 30th. And then if you apply within that period, you have an opportunity to get two different extensions, 3-month extensions, and not have to pay your mortgage. So they just or get foreclosed on. So they're pretty much just kind of kicking the can down the road a little bit further. So this could take us through the end of the year.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's going to be significant. I mean, you and I talked about it a little bit last week. Because of the fact that inventory is so low. So even if the foreclosure, all of a sudden, if that bubble just popped and we were flooded with these homes, I mean, I think our market would pretty much absorb them. I mean, there's enough demand out there. There's enough buyers that I don't see that as an issue.
I agree 100%. I mean, again, if there was 200 foreclosures into our market just today, all 200 of those properties would be sold. I don't think that a foreclosure property will sell for anything less than a non-foreclosure property. And the reality is this, like, here's what's interesting. The supply being as low as it is, inventory being as low as it is, that's causing appreciation. So if you were, this is a hypothetical. If you were a homeowner in Myrtle Beach and you found yourselves in a little bit of a bind, and let's just assume that your property, I'm going to make it easy for calculations, your property was worth $250,000 and you owed 200 well, let's just say that you found yourself in a bind. You owe 200,000. Your property's worth 225,000. Okay. But you're having a hard time making your payments. So there are people that are in foreclosure that's the situation. In 2 months from now, that $225,000 property may sell for $235,000. So the challenge with foreclosures is when the market conditions are somebody's having a challenge making their payments and the property values are going down, meaning it's eating out all their equity, then they become upside down. Right now, the market's going up. So actually, while they're having a hard time making their payments, they're getting a little bit of relief by being able to see appreciation, and their property value is growing. And so each month, that person has a better chance of not being in foreclosure, of actually going ahead and getting their property sold and paying off their debt and avoiding foreclosure altogether. So not only would the buyers scoop up every foreclosure at market value, but even people that are finding themselves in a bind, the market condition, the market trend is allowing them to avoid foreclosure, get the property sold because they have enough equity. So, that's what's going to happen. Or short sale. A lot of people are not having to short sale because in the last, 6 months, their properties went up enough where they actually don't have to short sale.
Yeah, that's a great point. And talking to people, they seem to be surprised at how much appreciation there has been recently.
Yeah.
Like, everybody's hearing the market's hot. Everybody knows that, things are good right now. But I don't think many people quite know what they can actually get for their home on the market right now. So example would be, someone that just bought a home last year and mortgaged and got a mortgage on it.
Yeah.
In most markets, in most conditions, you don't buy a home and be able to sell it a year later and walk away with extra money.
No.
Right? With this past 12 months, you can do that in many cases. So, if you ended up buying in a neighborhood that you all of a sudden realize it isn't the right fit for you, or you decide you wanted something bigger, or all of a sudden you lost your job because of the COVID issue and the financial strain, like you could have a pretty good amount of equity in there that can actually help you and be able to save your credit with things like that. So there's been a pretty good appreciation over the last 12 months. basically.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, good. Well, let's take a look at some numbers. I mean, I think we're going to probably see similar numbers, always getting a little bit tighter and tighter on inventory. I know I was looking in a community earlier called Prestwick in the Myrtle Beach area, the south end of Myrtle Beach, and I think there's 9 pendings and there's 0 listings. And like the average days that it takes to sell a property, probably if we looked at the last 2 months, the average days on the market before it went under contract is probably less than 14 days.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredible. So what's the numbers telling us?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much what you just said. I mean, across the board, it's super strong. Single family homes right now, we're kind of toying with that 60% mark. So that's just insane. Again, I want to keep referencing back to what a normal, just everyday number would look like. You're looking somewhere in the 28 to 33% range is what we've been carrying for years and years. And now all of a sudden we're getting close to 60% of every home that's on the market right now is under contract.
Yeah.
So that's all single family across the board. When you look at resale value, which is existing homes, leaving out new construction, again, that one's getting close to 60%.
So this tells us that there's approximately 950 available properties in the entire MLS for buyers to buy resale properties. Am I reading that correct?
Yeah, it's actually less than that, Greg, because this also takes into account any homes that are on a hold, don't show.
Okay.
So there's going to be a pretty decent amount of those. You're probably looking somewhere in the range of about 800 homes right now, 850 homes in total in our entire area. I mean, we're talking Horry and Georgetown County here. We're talking 2 counties.
Yeah.
800 homes.
That's out past Conway, all the way down to Georgetown, and on the other side of Georgetown, and all the way up to the North Carolina border, Little River.
I even think this crosses into Ocean Isle, doesn't it? Doesn't Don?
Yeah. So there are some North Carolina properties. Yes, there are North Carolina, like Calabash, Ocean Isle, those areas. Sure, and even Charlotte and whatnot. There's not a high volume of listings for those particular areas, but yes, it crosses the North Carolina line.
Yeah, and there'll be some Loris homes as well, even some Georgetown homes. So that's a pretty wide area to have only 800 and something homes available for sale.
Yes. Yeah, I agree. Good. What else?
So new construction, again, super strong, 61%. And I will emphasize again that this even counts to be built. So this is even counting just dirt, with a potential floor plan that a buyer can buy and actually put on the contract. But because it is available on the MLS, I'm counting it in there as a number. So 61% of every single new construction home that's available is under contract right now.
Wow. Okay. Yeah.
Looking at the condo market, I haven't seen numbers like this. Maybe you have.
No. Well,
You're a lot
2006. Yeah, I'm a lot. No. I've been in the business a lot longer. You're older. But no, this is, I don't remember what the specific number was in 2006. But this is I do know that this is the type of environment that we had. The inventory levels were very, very low back in 2005 and 6 and even into 7. And then they started increasing, and then we know there was a crash. But I will say the difference between then and now is that the inventory was being depleted by these investors that they were flippers. They were, I remember when this one grandmother, came to Myrtle Beach, actually never even came to Myrtle Beach. The grandson came to Myrtle Beach. He left, convinced her to buy 2 oceanfront condos in the small building called Landmark, or a lower price building called Landmark. And she bought 2 condos. She sight unseen, never seen them even when I sold them for her. So because what the strategy was is they were going to invest that money. The grandson was going to then fix them and then flip them, and they were going to make supposedly hundreds of thousands. Of course, they ended up losing money, but that was the mentality of the buyers. Or when we looked at land sales, there were because there were no condos available for sale, investors wanted to flip something. They were buying like 5 or 6 lots at a time, and then they were trying to flip them. That's why you see in the past there were these neighborhoods that they sold all these lots, but then no homes were built for many, many years. Is because it was investors buying those lots, never had an intention to actually build a home. They were just going to buy and flip. They got caught in the market. But these are the types of inventory levels that we were experiencing back then. It's just a different mentality for the buyers. This is a much more healthy market than it was back then. There was too much speculation and a lot of fraudulent activity taking place.
No question about that. And that's a great analysis. That's exactly what we're seeing right now. So, I mean, there are still investors buying properties, but you don't have flippers. No one's buying it, trying to flip it 7 days from now because it's gone up, $20,000. We don't have that kind of market.
That's right.
So just as a reference point, since you brought up the bubble, real estate bubble, right now we're sitting just under 3 months supply of condo inventory in our market, which is extremely low. But if you go back to 2004, 5, I'm not exactly what the lowest point was. It might have been 6. There was just under a 1 month supply of inventory.
Oh, so is that the case? So we're not there yet.
No,
but we're pointing in that direction. And I don't know if we're going to get there. I think I think we stated this last week that we do believe that there is going to be an inventory issue with these condos, and we're starting to see that that's still continuing to trend that way. I bet you we see in the 2 month supply. I bet we do go down into the 2 month. I don't know if we'll go all the way down into the 1 month, but I feel we'll go down into the 2 month area.
Yeah, and what I might do next time is break out the numbers off the ocean and see what that number by itself looks like, because I think we're starting to see a crunch on condos away from the ocean, on golf courses and things like that. Those numbers are really low. On the ocean front, there's still a pretty decent amount.
Yeah, that would be helpful. I think that would be helpful because I know some of the off the beach condos, what's happening is people are going from, they're not being able to buy single family homes. So some people are relocating and said, hey, we'll just buy a townhome or a condo until we can find something else. So that's eating up some of that inventory. Yeah,
exactly. Okay, so this is just the oceanfront. 31.71% of every condo on the market is under contract. 423 are pending. That's a really strong number for the oceanfront. Again, we typically see the inventory start to rise this time of year.
Yes,
it really isn't. Like last week on the oceanfront, there was 1,341 units available. This week, there's 1,334. So there's 7 less units available, but there's 42 more under contract.
Yeah.
So they're being gobbled up quicker than they can hit the market, and just not enough of them are hitting the market right now. And let's look at land lastly. We finally broke the 20% mark.
Yeah.
Which again that's triple what we typically see in this market. Usually somewhere around a 7 to 8%, 7 or 8%. It's been like that for years and years, and now we're over 20% of what's out there is under contract.
Yeah. Wow. It's incredible. Well, that's some amazing stuff. All I can say is, as we say each week, if there's anybody out there that's thinking about selling, we've been talking about this for many weeks. We can definitely help you. We have buyers on a waiting list, literally buyers on a waiting list for certain types of properties, not every single property, but we have buyers, especially in the single family area, that are just waiting. And we've got their pre-qualification letter. We've got their earnest money. We've got contracts ready to go as soon as one hits. I mean, we're going to be, taking a look at it, writing an offer, and trying to put that thing under contract within 24 hours. That's kind of the environment that we're in as real estate professionals. So if there's anything we can do for you, we surely want to be a resource for you and guide you in any way we can. Even if you don't want to sell, we can give you some updates on what your property values are. Well, Abe, thank you again. There's our numbers down there. Text us or call us if we can do anything for you.
Enjoy it, Greg. Thank you.
Take care.